up after Typhoon Chaba is mounting. The powerful storm battered southern Korea this week, leaving 10 people dead or missing. South Korea's foreign minister calls on the international community to consider cutting diplomatic ties with North Korea to counter its military threats. It's lights, camera, action as Asia's largest international film festival kicks off in Korea's southern city of Busan. These and more coming right up.
Hello, it's Friday, October 7th here in Seoul. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Hwang Ji-hye. Korea is counting the cost of a powerful typhoon that whipped through southern Korea this week. Typhoon Chaba killed 7 people, left 3 missing, and caused millions of dollars worth of damage. For more on the aftermath and the cleanup efforts, Hwang Ho-jun reports.
It took less than a day for Chaba, named after a tropical flower, to ravage the southern coast of Korea. According to the Safety Ministry, 7 fatalities are confirmed so far, and 3 people are still missing. The death toll includes a firefighter who was swept away by the currents while on a rescue operation in Busan. More than 200,000 households lost power, though it was mostly restored by Thursday morning. Chaba also devastated about 9,300 hectares of farmland, nearly 30 times the area of New York Central Park. The storm also inundated 508 houses, forcing about 200 people to evacuate. They're now taking refuge at local schools and community centers. Thousands of vehicles are reported to have sustained severe water damage due to the flooding. The typhoon has also taken a toll on local industry. 2 Hyundai Motor plants in Ulsan and 20 other industrial facilities in the area were forced to suspend operations for a while on Wednesday due to flooding. The General Insurance Association of Korea said more than $18 million worth of damage claims were made directly after the storm swept over the coastal area. The total economic loss is still being calculated as the reports roll in. Thousands of private, public, and military recovery support staff have been deployed in restoration and aid work in the affected areas. The government said it will come up with a detailed restoration plan by the end of this month. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
A job fair has opened in Seoul that matches young job seekers with startups fostered through the government's creative economy drive. Speaking at the opening on Thursday, President Park Geun-hye highlighted the importance of young workers and pledged full support for youth job creation efforts. Song Ji-sun reports.
Korea's network of 17 innovation centers is bearing fruit, and the startups launched at the centers are now actively hunting for new hires. The businesses appeared at a youth job fair held Thursday at COEX Convention Center in Seoul, alongside 350 other startups and small and mid-sized companies.
Our wearable devices, which allow the wearer to hear sounds from smart devices through vibrations that emanate through the fingers, has already attracted $1.5 million from a crowdfunding campaign. As our product is also attracting global interest, we're aiming to hire 5 more people at this job fair to be in charge of international sales and marketing.
좋은 인재 꼭 찾으시고 청년들에게도 미래로 많이 뻗어나갈 수 있는 벤처에 취업을 하게 되는 거고 같이 꿈을 이루실 것 같아요. 그렇게만 되면.
President Park Geun-hye, speaking at the event she initiated, also highlighted innovation and creation as key concepts for growth and entrepreneurship.
4차 산업혁명의 시대에는 창조적인 혁신과 과감한 도전이 국가 경쟁력의 원천이고 일자리 창출의 동력입니다. 우리 기업들도 창조적인 혁신을 통해 그동안 없었던 산업과 일자리를 만들어내야 하고 청년들도 창의적 아이디어로 무장하여 새로운 일자리에 과감하게 도전해야 합니다.
The government has also vowed to provide young job seekers with customized programs offering everything from career counseling to job training, while also encouraging startups to explore new markets with new industries. President Park also vowed to use her creative economy and cultural prosperity initiatives in conjunction with labor reform, restructuring, and deregulation to create quality jobs for the nation's young people. 송지선, Arirang News.
South Korea's top diplomat says it's time to consider even harsher measures against North Korea in response to the regime's continual provocations. Speaking with Seoul-based Yeonhap News Agency in Brussels on Thursday, Byungse said encouraging countries to sever or sharply limit diplomatic relations with Pyongyang is an effective way of punishing the North. He noted that an article in the UN Charter says all UN members should enforce non-military measures like severing diplomatic ties when a country ignores its international obligations. Minister Yoon said talks for talk's sake merely allows North Korea to buy time, adding that dialogue should only resume once Pyongyang shows a clear will to abandon its nuclear weapons. He also said the international community should deal with North Korea's grave human rights violations in conjunction with efforts to denuclearize the regime. And as the U.S. presidential election draws ever closer, Washington's North Korea policy has become a hot-button issue. The United States has the capability to hit the regime where it hurts both financially and militarily. But how likely is a preemptive strike targeting the leadership in Pyongyang? Connie Kim takes a closer look.
As North Korea's nuclear capability advances with 2 nuclear tests this year, the idea of a preemptive strike against North Korea has re-emerged as a topic of speculation within the United States. In the recent vice presidential debate, Democrat Tim Kaine said a president should, quote, take action to defend the U.S. against imminent threats in response to a question about whether the U.S. should take preemptive action against intelligence that North Korea was about to launch a nuclear-tipped missile capable of reaching the United States. However, he declined to say what kind of action and said it would be necessary to first determine how credible the intelligence is. The current U.S. administration has always been very cautious about the idea of a preemptive strike on North Korea. In an interview with CBS in April, U.S. President Barack Obama said Washington's first priority is to protect the American people and U.S. allies, South Korea and Japan, which are vulnerable to North Korea. He said the U.S. could potentially destroy Pyongyang, but indicated that would not be a welcome solution as both the humanitarian costs and South Korea's proximity to the north would both be disqualifying factors. That makes the likelihood of a preemptive strike extremely unlikely, despite any speculation to the contrary.
If the United States had intended to engage in a preemptive strike after the 5th nuclear test, it should have come a lot earlier than now. We're many days past the 5th nuclear test. So I don't think that it is a highly probable action that the United States government is contemplating at the moment.
Analysts say that Washington's position will ultimately depend on the results of the upcoming presidential election. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
A U.S. hedge fund has proposed a radical corporate shakeup of Samsung Electronics and also suggested listing its shares on the NASDAQ. Shares in the Korean tech titan rose sharply on the news. Ji Myung-gil has the details.
Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics said on Thursday it's carefully considering proposals by U.S. hedge fund Elliott Management. The activist fund has urged Samsung to split into an operations side and a holding company to increase transparency for shareholders. Elliott also wants Samsung to list the operating company on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange and pay a special dividend of $27 billion. Elliott made the proposal in a letter sent to Samsung's board. Samsung said in its response it believes in constructive and open dialogue with investors with a view to maximizing shareholder value. Elliott owns just 0.62% of Samsung, but the hedge fund's motion could have an outsized impact as more than half of the company's stock is held by foreign investors. Spurred by Elliott's proposals, Samsung shares jumped to a record high Thursday on the local stock market, closing at nearly 1.7 million won, or about $1,520. This is not the first time Elliott's raised issues with a Korean IT giant. Last year, it attempted to disrupt Samsung Group's efforts to merge Samsung C&T with apparel maker Tail Industries. Analysts say Elliott's latest move could open the way for Samsung's founding Lee family to not only embrace change, but cement its grip as it negotiates the succession from patriarch Lee Gon-hee to the next generation. Kim Young-git, Arirang News.
A scene of devastation is emerging from the Caribbean island of Haiti 2 days after it suffered a direct hit from Hurricane Matthew. The government says at least 108 people were known to have been killed, around half of them in the southern town of Roche Batou. More than 3,200 homes have been destroyed. The Category 4 storm, the second highest hurricane classification, is now barreling toward the U.S. state of Florida, packing sustained winds of 225 kilometers an hour. President Obama has declared a state of emergency in Florida as the potentially catastrophic hurricane approaches. Mass evacuations are underway in Florida after Governor Rick Scott told residents to, quote, evacuate, 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 and warned that this storm will kill you. International crude oil prices have risen to a 4-month high on the back of OPEC's decision to cut output and a drop in U.S. oil stockpiles. West Texas Intermediate closed trading up 1.2% at $50.44 a barrel. This is the best closing for U.S. crude futures since June and the first time the price has topped $50 since late June. It's a sharp rebound after WTI hit rock bottom at just over $26 in February. Since OPEC's announcement late last month, oil prices have risen more than $6. Korea is once again playing host to arguably the biggest film festival in Asia. This year's Busan International Film Festival kicked off Thursday with an impressive lineup of world premieres and award-winning films. Our Lee Ji-won was there for the opening night and filed this report.
Residents of Busan may still be cleaning up from the effects of Typhoon Chaba, but that hasn't put a damper on the excitement for the city's premiere event. The Busan International Film Festival, which kicked off on Thursday, invites over 150 directors and movie stars from around the world to share their talents, from popular Korean actress Park So-dam to Suleiman Sisay, a prominent African film director and a juror for one of the festival awards. The festival, which is Asia's largest, features roughly 300 films from 70 countries, including over 120 world and international premieres and numerous award-winning films from this year's Cannes Film Festival. And to celebrate its support for Asian films and directors over the years, the festival will open and close with Asian films in the spotlight. The Iraqi film The Dark Wind by director Hussein Hassan will close the festival, while a Korean film will serve as the opening act for the first time in 5 years. A Quiet Dream by Korean-Chinese director Chang Lu is about a young woman who owns a small bar and 3 men who wish to win her heart. Filmed in black and white, the atmosphere retains a dreamlike quality that draws the audience into the story. The festival also features a series of public events, including forums, master classes, and open talks, where the directors and actors can share their insights with audiences. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News, Busan.
South Korea took another small step toward the 2018 World Cup in Russia on Thursday night, beating Qatar 3-2 in a qualifier. In front of the home crowd, Captain Ki Sung-young scored the opener after 11 minutes, but the Korean team went in 2-1 down at halftime. However, they turned it around in the second half thanks to goals by Ji Dong-won and Son Heung-min. The result means South Korea has won 2 and drawn 1 of its first 3 games in the final Asian qualification round. South Korea takes on Iran on next Tuesday. And that wraps it up for now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back in less than 2 hours to bring you more news updates, so stay tuned and goodbye for now.